It's Jason Shadwick with PremierGuitar.com, and we're with the fellas at the Mojotone booth. And you just heard Eddie playing through a Rville 58, is that right?
Yep.
Rville 58 Les Paul Jr., but with their new pickup here, which we're going to talk about, and that was through their new amp, which we're going to talk about a little bit later. So we have David here from Mojotone, and tell us a little bit, David, about kind of the process and the thought behind this new quiet P-90 single coil.
Well, thanks for having us and speaking with us. The P-90 quiet coil was something I've been working on for a long time, and I wanted to go after a vintage P-90 sound. And I was very lucky to have several P-90s through the 50s to benchmark with. And I had a 56 that sounded spectacular. It had a vocal quality to it, a clarity to it. You could roll back the volume, it would clean up. It wasn't really aggressive like all your new P-90s. And that's exactly what I wanted to model this one after, and I did. I matched everything to it as far as the resonant peak and all that good stuff, but the vocal quality was the big deal, you know, to have something that spoke like the 56 P-90.
So Eddie, let's hear a little bit of it where you kind of mess with the volume a little bit and hear how that responds.
All right, yeah, so I'm just rolling it back to about 8, 7.5. So it's still very, very chimey, very pleasing to the ears.
And even at this volume, there's no hum whatsoever.
Yeah. None. And then here it's dimed. And it's still, even when it's at full volume, it's still very responsive to pick attack.
So David, tell me about when this pickup will be available and what will be the price point on it.
So this pickup will be available right after NAMM in a couple weeks. I think the retail on it's going to be $129.95, and we'll have them in dog ear and in soap bar.
Okay.
For bridge and neck as well, and yeah.
All right, so let's swap out here. Let's talk to Andrew here about the amp that Eddie's playing through. So Andrew, tell us a little bit about the amp you brought to the show here.
Oh yeah, definitely. That is our newest amp, the Wrightsville, all hand-wired. It's inspired off of Mojo Verb, which was an older creation for Mojotone. It's a 2-speaker amp and has a 10-inch speaker that is all reverb. So it's a wet-dry setup. So it's a 10-inch speaker that produces all reverb and a 12-inch speaker that produces all dry signal.
All right, Eddie, let's hear a little bit out of this one. Excellent. And what tubes did you say were in this one?
So that one uses 5881s for your power section and a 6v6 to drive the reverb.
All right.
It also uses octal preamp tubes, a
okay.
6SJ7 and 6SL7. And that gives it a, just a different sort of flavor, a little bit warmer tone.
Yeah. All right, Andrew, tell me a little bit about the thought behind separating the wet signal from the dry signal and the advantages that might have.
Well, yeah, certainly. We wanted to do that with this particular amp so that your dry signal would not be affected by the reverb and get too washed out. Doing so allows us to have a reverb amp that can have very light ambience all the way up to extreme ambience without getting feedback or any sort of noise that you might experience with a typical spring reverb amp.
So let's have Eddie crank up the reverb on this and hear what it kind of an over-exaggerated form of what this sounds like. So what'll be pricing and availability on the new amp?
The new amp should be available in about 2 to 3 weeks, and it's going to map at $22.95.
All right, Eddie, let's have you play us out with a little bit of something. Andrew, thank you so much for talking to us.
Hey, thanks for having us.
This is Jason Shadrick with PremierGuitar.com.